Senior political analyst Brit Hume joins us tonight here on set. Good evening, Brit.
Hi, Brett. Nice to see you.
Your thoughts about today?
Well, I don't think we learned a great deal that's new. I mean, the big takeaway to me was after we heard this and after we heard what the Justice Department had seen about General Flynn and could see that he was lying about the extent of his discussions with the Russians and warned the administration about that. And my takeaway was, well, they better get rid of Flynn. Oh, wait. Flynn was long gone. Now, there'll probably be discussion out of this, Brett, about why it took them, 18 days or something after the warnings were issued for him to be gone. But in the end, what she said, Sally Yates said about Flynn was that he was lying to the administration and lied to the vice president, and that's what he got fired for. So I just don't think as a political matter that revelation that it, or the view that it took too long is going to make much difference since he's gone and indeed long gone.
Clearly you can hear from the questioning by Senate Democrats that they believe that this story has a lot of legs and that we are just at the tip of the iceberg of what they think is going to lead them to collusion, even though we don't have any evidence of that from the intelligence officials.
Well, we don't, and Clapper was asked today if he still stood by his conclusion given toward the end of the Obama administration before he left, based on work that had been done by all the intelligence agencies, that there was no evidence of collusion. He said he stood by that. Sally Yates said she couldn't say because it was classified. There was an awful lot that both witnesses couldn't say because it was classified, which tells us nothing. And she repeatedly said, don't infer anything from the fact that I can't talk about this. That doesn't mean the answer is yes, doesn't mean the answer is no. So it didn't really move the ball very much. Embarrassing, obviously, to have been so close to this guy who looks like he exercised very bad judgment. I'm talking about Flynn. But it didn't advance the ball very much on the unmasking, and it didn't advance the ball very much on, and it didn't advance the ball at all on collusion between Russia and the Trump team.
Two more things. If the Washington Post doesn't do the story, getting leaked information about Flynn on that call,
right,
does Michael Flynn, is he still National Security Advisor?
That's a very good question, Brett. We'll probably never know the answer to that. We do know that the sequence of events suggests that the Post, what happened is she issues the warnings to the White House counsel. Some days thereafter, word of the warnings leaks and gets into the press. It shouldn't have, but it did, and the next thing you know, Flynn is gone. So you can make the case that it looks like they wouldn't have fired him if it hadn't leaked out, but we don't know that. And the bottom line is, he's gone.
Last thing, she was fired for not going forward with the executive order, for standing up against the travel ban executive order. She was pressed on that a couple of times today. Yeah,
she was, and she handled it pretty well. She talked, she made basically the essential arguments that people who are opposed to the travel ban and judges who have ruled against it have made, and she held her own very well. It is nonetheless very unusual for an attorney general, especially an acting attorney general, to refuse to represent the government's position on a particular matter, particularly when the Office of Legal Counsel, which gives a preliminary judgment on the constitutionality or legality of executive orders, has ruled that this one was okay. So people will be arguing about that forever. But I don't think it's not a lasting matter.
How long do you think it'll take before we hear some Democrats say Sally Yates should run for office?
I think in the pantheon of liberal heroes, she's right up there tonight, and she conducted herself, I thought, with some. I heard complaints that I saw on my Twitter feed and elsewhere, people saying she was partisan. I don't think you can make a case for her partisanship based on today. I thought she conducted herself very ably.
Brett, as always, thank you. Good to have you
Brett.
back.
Thank you.